like I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, like why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Because that's your own thing with God.
I mean,
right?
I would keep him in check
No,
if he was.
yeah, for sure,
Right?
for sure. But
Yeah, accountability.
Yeah.
like, do you think I feel like I don't know. Since you've been in like a few more relationships than most of us here, like, do you think that were you always like able to keep things that weren't involving like your relationship outside, like separate? Like, for example, you had an issue at home or like at work or something like that, something that didn't involve like your, you know, like your partner or whatever, and you don't want to like worry them, or you don't want to like make them flustered and stuff like that, so you just don't really, you know, try and bring that part into it. I don't know if you or
So
were
that
you
leads to,
Because
like,
that-
communication
yeah.
too?
Separate things.
Yeah, just something that doesn't really like require them to, you know, they don't need that, like, I don't know. I don't know. I see it.
Stress?
Yeah, they don't need like that extra stress or whatever. If you ever think of it like that, because I feel like that's the way I think, and maybe I'm obviously,
But that would be hiding stuff from.
but it's not like stuff that maybe is essential to like the.
Oh, like you don't have money and like you're not doing that well at work. and
Or
you're
no,
not
just
gonna
like
put-
just like issues, man. Like just other issues that you're having, maybe.
drama.
Yeah, like just having not like that involves like whatever your relationship, but outside of it. Like, would you bring up? I don't know. Maybe I should rephrase it.
Like, just put it in perspective. Like, what if you had a really bad day at work?
Yeah,
And it happened?
yeah.
Are you gonna bring it home with you?
Yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, like, oh, this happened and this, and like give it all like there, or would you come home and be like, oh, like, you know, it was a tough day, but now I'm home and I feel like I'm good here. Like, I don't need to bring any of that stuff.
I mean, you can talk about that tough day, but don't put
Take
that
it out.
negative energy
Yeah.
so harshly. Like, you could say, Matias, like, for example, like, if you came up to me and said, Carlos, you know, today work was this, today work was that, and something happened. That's one way of saying it. The other way, Carlos, oh man, like you're angry. Now you're putting the anger out to people.
I guess
Yeah,
I
you
guess
know,
I
like-
guess if you live, like I never experienced that, but I guess if I live with somebody, oh man, maybe I would bring it home. You know what I'm saying? Because
Well, you haven't been there in that position, right? So
no,
have you, exactly. So
haven't. But
I mean, it's just something to speculate on. Like,
yeah, exactly. And even when we look at our parents, you know what I'm saying? Man, they bring everything home. La suegra. They bring everything home. Every problem. Like, sometimes I hear my mom, and she's so stressed that even her presence makes me stressed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
know.
yeah.
And that's so negative. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that we have to learn not to do and separate the two. I never experienced that, what you're telling me, but maybe if I was in a marriage and I didn't think about those things, maybe I would bring it home. So it's a good point, though.
smart cookie.
Dale un beso.
You were scared. You're for the.
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I was really like, yo.
Eduardo tried to do
It's
it,
getting
and
too
now I'm
close
trying to
here.
do it. Hey, man, he turned me. No, I'm kidding. No, no.
Wow.
Now the next question. We have a
That's a
couple.
good question.
Oh, yeah.
La última, ¿no?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions. We have a little bit more time.
Off the show.
What is? No, that's basically. Oh, this is cool. This is a good one. Cool one. For your future relationship, what are non-negotiables for me in terms of a partner?
So, like, something that you wouldn't want in a partner?
Yes.
No.
Something that you wouldn't want?
Yeah. What are non-negotiables for you or me in terms of a partner? Like stuff that you definitely know that I do not want this. I do not want that. Now I know this. Now I know that. So now
That's tough. I don't know.
I think no negotiables.
I mean, like, I think I know.
Yeah, 'cause
but
it's like
I'm
you
under
think.
pressure now.
Yeah.
No negotiables as like, you gotta have this.
No, you don't have.
No.
You don't.
I
You
think-
don't
I
want
think
this in
no
someone, right?
negotiable-
right?
you,
I'm
like-
so confused.
I
no
think
negotiables
you can go.
means-
You can look at it both ways. Actually,
I have one. And I said this earlier today. I can never be with somebody that isn't of the same faith as me.
See that's a term. That's another term. Like, you know, like we were actually talking about this on the Zoom call today with young adults. I actually wrote it. Do not mix yolks or something like that.
What?
Yugos desigual.
Yugos desigual, right? Mixed yolks. Yeah, for our fellow Christians, we already know that, but we live in a society that everybody's interchanged, everybody's intermixing.
Or they're like, it's okay, we'll work it out. I'll go to church with you.
Yeah.
Lies.
You know, like sometimes fine, it could work, you know, and then they convert whatever. But is that the smart way for us? I'm talking about us now as Christians. Is that the smart way? No, because we're basically hoping we can change them or God can change them, right? I'm not denying God's power. Nobody is here. It's just, why make things harder for yourself? Like, you know, you don't make things harder for yourself. So you're already eliminating that hard step, finding a Christian man. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, or yeah, you know, you guys know what I'm trying to say. So, Matias?
And that's the thing, right? If you get into a relationship with somebody and you guys have different faiths. And you get into marriage, for example, you're not only marrying the person, you're marrying the whole family. You know what I'm saying? And you guys are going to have to live with that your whole life. Arguments and, oh no, your faith is not right, and stuff
different
like
cultures, different
I
points
think
of views.
a lot of it is, this is what goes through my head is my children. When you have children, how are you going to raise them? Yeah. Will they be going to church on Sunday? If you're not going to church, what are you going to tell them? If we want to pray at the table, are you going to participate and pray? You know, like that stuff, that literally stresses me out. Like I could never. And I just feel like I would need that, and I would need a man who would be able to, I mean, I would be in charge, of course, of my own spirituality with God and stuff and my relationship, but I would want a man who's just as much doing that. And I think that's really important. And something that, you know, with my last relationship, we had that, but, you know, we were also kind of like making like decisions that we kind of knew we shouldn't be doing or something. And luckily, and, you know, this is what I really admired about him, was that he really tried, and he really would always have God on his mind. Like, he feared the Lord. And so, I mean, of course, we're not perfect and things were difficult for sure, but, you know, like even towards the end, or like weeks, months before, he had a conversation with me. It was like, we need to change things because we're not going to be blessed if we're not doing that. And then I fell a little more in love, and it was really sad. But
that's crazy.
Because like that's,
so does that like change how you look at that person?
100%,
100%,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And there's even like men that will be like, I'm Christian, and
but like
but they don't, like, they're not actively Christian, and they're living their own lives.
What does that mean though? But what does that mean though to you, like actively in your perspective? Like, oh, like what does he have to do? Yeah.
No, like he like actively being Christian is
no, cause like you mean.
What if I was gonna answer that? No, but I just mean like just someone who really puts God first, you know, in everything you do. And, you know, like you do your ofrenda, you pray.
Like for
you go to church.
For you, what would be like that line where it's like, oh, he's not doing enough? Like, what would that be for you? Like, oh, he's not doing, like you said, right? Everyone's in charge of their own spiritual, like, of their own spirituality. Yeah.
Yeah, they grow and they're walking the faith.
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna tell you like, oh, like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Because that's your own thing with God.
I mean, I would keep him in check if he was.
Yeah, for sure,
right?
For sure. But
yeah, accountability.
I feel like also, like, I don't know. I just wanted to ask the question. Well, what happens if someone is like obviously trying, right?
Yeah.
You're trying. And like we said earlier in the podcast today, like just people make mistakes. Like we're humans, even though we're still Christians, right? We're humans, and we're never gonna reach, you know, God's level ever. Yeah. What happens if you like make mistakes? You know, you're trying constantly every day, but you obviously as humans we fail, right?
I feel like that's when you need to take the step and being like, am I ready for a relationship? You know what I'm saying? Because if I keep going like that, oh, you know, I tripped. Oh, you tripped again. Oh, you tripped again. then that you're doing that consciously. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not tripping. You're indulging. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the sin. You know,
like living in the sin. Yeah.
Exactly. Like.
Which is why a lot of things don't work out later. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like marriages will fail, breakups even, right? Like.
And that's the difference, like between, you know, like you're a good person, but you keep indulging. You're not tripping anymore. You're indulging in the same sin, and that's where you need to stop and be like, am I ready for this? Because if I step into marriage,
It's a big
this
step,
can break.
right?
No, 100%.
A massive step.
That's not gonna get better.
Yeah.
You need to stop and let God heal you. You know what I'm saying?
Do not rush. Is that what?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a question actually. As like, you know, being Christians or whatever, how long do you think is long enough to date someone before getting married? I just had this conversation with my grandma the other day, and we had different answers. So I kind of want to know, like, how long do you think?
That's a good one. I like this.
That's a good question.
I like this one.
Take it, Matias.
You are gonna be ready, in my opinion, when you don't have the necessity, is that how you say it?
Yeah, necessary. That's the word.
To depend on what you used to struggle. For example, if it was a person, you don't need to depend on that person anymore. You're cool if you have that person or if that person left. Yeah. You know?
Like you're fully independent.
You're fully independent of your struggle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, say.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you used to struggle with like porn, masturbation, and that comes up, you know, like as a topic or somebody saying something sexual to you, and before that used to trigger something in your mind, and right now it doesn't, that means that God has healed you in that area, right? Like it doesn't mean that you're not gonna struggle. And like if you open a door in your past before, like those pictures are still in your mind and they will always be, you know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean that God didn't heal you from that. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be something that is still in your mind, but it's not a struggle for you anymore. Like an alcoholic, right? You can see the bottle is tempting, like that was your past, but you're not gonna indulge in it because you know what's better. You know that God has given you something better. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I would say that when you don't depend on that thing anymore, that's when you're ready.
Yeah. Nice, amen. So, what? Since you gave us that question, what is your answer?
When I said like 3 years, because I feel like when you're dating with someone, you have all those hormones and you want to do a lot of things. I think 3 years is a reasonable amount of time that you can really hold on to not doing a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing with that person. And I feel that in 3 years you get to know someone pretty well. The person I was with, I've known for like so long, but I kind of always knew them, you know? And so I just don't ever English. I never saw the point of people like, oh, we've been dating like 8 years. Okay, are you engaged at least? Like, what are you waiting for? And I think it's really dangerous because then you end up, you know, moving in with people.
Taking too much time.
Yeah, you're taking too much time. Like, you're already living with them. You're already, having, like, intimate relationships when you're not supposed to. At least, you know, like, for us, we're not supposed to until you're married. So I think if you're doing everything right, within the, first year and a half, you should have a pretty good understanding of who it is that person is and if you want to be with them or not. Right? And then maybe, really seeing, okay, maybe break up now or not. But 3 years, I think, is a safe number to be like, okay, I've really got to know this person. And, do I want to be with them or not? And if not, leave and get married. I just feel like you don't need to take 5 years.
Well, I feel like, I don't know.
If you do, something's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's about, looking at it, by years. like being like, oh, I'm counting 5 years. 5 years, okay, I need to be like, you know, married by that time if I'm with this person. I think it's more of getting like you said, getting to
Like
know.
being ready.
No, like being ready, but also getting to know the other person. Because like as Matias said earlier in the podcast, you're gonna spend the rest of your life with this person, right? There's things that they may be hiding from you that you don't even know. In 3 years, someone can easily keep something from you, and it's not even about it's not even about 3 years or 4 years, whatever, 8 years. I feel like it's just about like being able to.
I disagree, man.
Really?
Yeah, I disagree.
I feel like it's about just getting to actually know who the person is that you're with, and when the time's right, the time's right. It's not about knowing. It's not about counting years or putting years in. That's what I think. And obviously there's situations where you'll know everything of a person, right? In 3 years, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I feel like it's all different for everyone.
That's interesting because my like adults, when I asked this question, never gave me the answers you guys gave me.
Really?
They gave me like 2 years. You know, like they didn't give me like I get both. I put both into accountability. So that's, but also it's like I always thought about like, you know, there's people like non-Christian people, they'll date someone for a very, very long time, move in with them, and then all of a sudden it's done. Like, I don't like this person that I'm living with, but we're not supposed to move in with these people.
Well,
So
also, I think like the other thing is we should always try and like obviously have God in the relationship, right? You're trying to do things, putting him in the middle of what you're trying to do, and I think if he's there, I think that relationship will grow, and obviously if you're doing it constantly and doing it willingly, I think that's the best. I think, what was the question that you asked earlier? Yeah, I think that would be like the best. In that situation.
I got another thing. This came to my head.
Well, what question? What were you saying? What did I say?
No, they were saying about
Numbers
and stuff. Yeah, numbers. How many
many
years
until you're
is
ready?
like, what's the right
man.
year to get married? Like, after being with someone for 3 years, that's the right time
This
to
one's
get
good.
married. No. I'm just saying like that's example.
Let's just look at it in a way where the secular way, okay? And we're not talking the spiritual way. Okay, are you financially stable to get married? Right? Do you have, a stable job? Right? First of all, right? Because you're not gonna be buying your wife McDonald's all days. You're not gonna be feeding your
The
kids
value,
McDonald's.
man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you have?
Hey boss, what do you want off the value menu?
Nothing.
Do you have a place to live? That's another one. You're not gonna be living with this is big, because if you live with your parents, oh my.
While you're married.
But while you're married, oh man, that's horrible, man. I've heard of many cases where that's just so dangerous.
You wouldn't do that?
I would never do that.
You would never do that, right?
I would never do that.
If they're older or something, that's different though. Yeah.
Like older, like how old? Like.
I mean, when they need assistance.
Oh, okay. Like,
Yeah,
any numbers out there or what?
You know what? You know what? Like, I guess I wouldn't mind if they lived like in the basement of the house or something, right? Sorry. Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they lived in like the basement of a house, but like I would have to. It would be like years. I wouldn't do it like right off the bat after getting married and having my suegros there. No thanks.
No, man.
Waking up to them and seeing them? No.
No.
That brings us. I come from a family of that, and
Catch your breath, bud. Sorry.
well, not me personally, and I've seen it directly. That is not the right thing to do.
Nope.
If there's medical issues or assistance like that, then of course, of course. Even the Bible says there's a verse that you leave. Yeah. The man and the woman leave. The parents and make their own foundation. They become one. Yeah. So the Bible says it.
Not five. Not 5 or 6. and then we have the most important, right? Like the spiritual aspect. And this is an analogy that my pastor gives. So he puts 2 cups. Right? And I think many other pastors have done it. Right? If one cup is full and the other one is empty, right? And you try to pour water into the empty cup, what will happen to the cup that had water?
Nothing.
Yeah, it will just run down, and become empty. You know what I'm saying? It's just like people. Both cups need to be full. That way, if we pour into each other, we can overflow. But if you have one cup full, the other one empty, try to pour in, you're going to end up empty, right? And that's like any relationship. If your husband is not ready, or your future husband is not ready, or you as a wife are not ready, you know what I'm saying? You're going to end up empty all the time. And when do you know that you're ready is when you guys are both full, like full of God, full of the Holy Spirit, so you guys can overflow together.
Amen. Preach.
Right? I think then you're ready for marriage, when you're both at the same level of your spiritual walk with God.
Amen.
That's what I believe, and that's what I've learned.
Yeah, and this is, like I said, we may disagree here, we may agree here, and this is a space where we talk about differences, similarities, and view our different different points of views. You see, we're Christian here, and we may agree on some things, we may disagree on other things, and that's the beauty of being friends. What happens if we were all the same? What are we, robots? No, come on. So, that's
for the like for what you were talking about, like being stable and like having a good job, having kind of your life together. What do you think of that? And while you're in a relationship with somebody, like what do you think of that?
That's key.
Yeah, that's key. Is that like what's your guys' take
feel
on that?
So. My brother's 17, and he's very smart. He's always like, I don't want to date a girl until I have a job. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, why? He's like, well, what am I going to do? Right? There's literally nothing to do. He's like, I need to have a job. I need to be able to afford to take her out. I need my license. I was like, wow, like I haven't heard like a kid like his age say that, right? And so I was really shocked. So I think that's really key. And I think, especially for me, like during the pandemic, I lost my job, right? So, and I was in school, I couldn't maintain the job, and just me not having a job, it really affected me and my relationship, because now we never lived together or anything, right? But it kind of bothers you that like, you're not doing anything, right? Like, even though you understand, right? It's still something like that bothers you. And for me as a woman, I was like, I feel useless. Like, I felt less womanly. Like, I would wake up and had nothing to do with my day except like, I would apply for jobs, but like, that's it. Whereas he would come from work, pick me up, and he had like a full day ahead, and I had nothing to talk about. Nothing.
How did that, like, in that situation, like when you had nothing to do and you knew that other person was like busy the whole day?
It sucks.
It sucks. But like, how would he would be tired, I'm guessing, right? It's a long day at work, a long day, whatever he had. And you're full of energy, right? Like, you're full of energy. Like, what happens like then? Like, if you're full of energy, he's kind of drained throughout the day.
I mean, honestly, luckily, I'm not really like that. I would just go and be like, let's take a nap. So I never actually really had that problem. Him and I were always kind of leveled out that way. And I'm like pretty low maintenance. Like, I'm like, all right, let's put a movie, have some food. And like, there would be days we would just sleep, literally just sleep. But also I hated that. Like, I felt like very less attractive to him. Like, oh, cool, you picked me up from doing absolutely nothing to come do absolutely nothing at your house, like, I hated it, and it affected it. And I feel like it's also for men, like, when they go through that stuff, it really affects them, because you're supposed to be the provider, but it's hard on both, right? Like, I felt like I had nothing going for me, so, like, that stuff was crazy. It was hard.
That's sorry.
Yeah.
And that's when in marriage, that's in rich or in poor, man. In rich or in poor, that's when you need to balance that out.
And obviously there's like situations, like for example, in like Nat's situation, like that they both, they could both agree on that. Like, oh, like she wasn't at that time working, and he's, I guess he was like, he saw that and he was accepting of it in a way, like kind of being like, oh, like
you're
it's like
understanding,
understanding,
but
yeah,
it
yeah.
still sucks.
Yeah, for sure. But it wasn't like, oh, like get out of here, like get a job, whatever, like something like that, right?
It becomes more like, why don't you apply here? Why don't you go there? And it's, always being very helpful, but it's also like when you're in that position, you're like, I know. You don't need to tell, I know. Right? So then it causes conflict. So I think the stability and all of that stuff really affects you. And if you don't have money, I'm broke. So it would suck. And I would always feel bad. Like if we were going out to eat, I mean, of course, he would always pay, but I always like to offer to pay or be like, nah, like I got it, right? If I couldn't do that, I was like, oh my God, like me daba pena, and I was like, no, it's hard. I think that's very key for any relationship.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you guys for sharing. Last question before we do our outro: have you forgiven yourself or the other person? 30 seconds. Go.
I'm not ready. I don't know.
I have. I feel like. Yeah, I have. Definitely have. And I did that when I started looking at my flaws and the things that I did. And
Amen.
I was in no position to be mad or to have something against my ex. And that's where the healing came. When I finally realized and just let go and forgive.
When you surrendered.
Yeah, exactly. When I surrendered that pain, that sadness, that grief. And I'm like, hey, God, you take it. Like, I'm so imperfect. Like, if she hurt me in any way, like, I forgive her and I forgive myself also for the things that I did. Right? But, yeah, I think I have. So.
Thank you for sharing, Matias. I appreciate you. I love you, man.
I love you.
Natalie? Have you forgiven yourself and the other person?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going through it. I'm trying to. I haven't gotten there yet. I mean, I'm still figuring a lot of things out and overlooking the relationship and seeing my mistakes and where I fell short. And so have I forgiven myself? No, not yet. Him? For some things. For some things, the other things will take a little longer. Yeah.
Time.
To get to heal from and forgive, but I know it'll come. I'm not going to be keeping a grudge on him forever. I just need to, heal and deal with it myself.
Amen. Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, so I think the same for me. Being able to just surrender, I guess, to God and give him that situation. That's what brought peace to me. It was hard still, not very hard, but I think just being able to surrender and allow him to work his stuff in me, and then through that being able to just allow forgiveness. And I think for myself, I try to not be too much of to hold grudges against people or to be that type of person. And yeah, so but I try. Obviously, I'm still human, and I make my mistakes, and I do that. So I just ask God to help me out with that situation all the time. So yeah.
Thank you, Fernando. To answer the last question, have I forgiven myself and the other person? I'm going a little bit on the same boat with you, Natalie. But reversed. I don't. That's a struggle right now. I feel, sad and shame. That's what I feel. I think number one word would be shame for my situation, and guilt. So I do feel not. I'm going day by day. I'm trying to forgive myself. I do have random attacks of sadness and thoughts, and just trying to cope. And so I don't think I have a full.
Wow, pobrecito.
I haven't fully forgiven myself, but for the other person, yeah, whatever. What the heck? But for the other person, yes, I have. Things happen, so life happens. So I wish the best for. I do say this proudly for all our past relationships, for wherever they are now, for whoever they are now, and I do wish the best for you guys, for him or her, yeah, and
Him.
You know what I mean.
Oh.
And yeah, so I want to say thank you guys for coming on the Stay Show, on the Stay podcast, where we are always speaking truth and always yapping. Hey, what's up? And then and yes, I would like to say thank you for you guys who are going to be watching. Please comment below. Thank you, Yusuf. Yes, Yusuf. What's up?
Yusuf?
For commenting, and please like and subscribe and share.
Miss you, man.
To all your friends and family, if you may, and if you don't, it's okay. It doesn't matter. I want to say thank you, Fernando. Thank you, Natalie, for being on. Thank you, Matias, for coming back again. I would love to have you guys coming back for different topics. And
Please.
yeah, please. Yes, thank you for being genuine with me, being real with me, and thank you for you guys' friendship. I think that is very important. Literally, just talking.
Yeah.
A lot of people may not have a lot of friends, or maybe be a little bit antisocial or things, or maybe they're just shy. But with the Lord, confine in Him, and then things will pan out, and yeah, talk to your family, talk to your friends about your things, and
These topics are important to talk about.
yes, especially in you can find this on YouTube on a general section, but this is now more specified in the Christian aspect, in the Christian view. Like I said, this podcast is not a Christian podcast, but this is a show, a channel, a podcast that just has Christians in it, and obviously different people from different creeds, races, religions will be on, and I have friends from different parts of the world that may and will be on soon eventually. And yeah, I just want to finish off actually with a verse from the scripture, and it goes like this: "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Isaiah 41:10. I thank you guys once again. I love you guys. Hopefully you guys come back, and we'll come back for the next one. Thank you.
Peace.
Good night and good luck. So I guess
second one.
said that's
Damn.
video too.
How long are you gonna put that in?
Dang, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
But yeah,
Tengo que dar un masaje.
Yo, are you giving free massages?
can you
5 minutes each.
Actually,
Take advantage. Not of me, I love the massage.
This is
Take advantage of
should I pause it or what?
yeah, you can pause it.
Damn, you guys look sick.
Can pause it?
I feel like I didn't.
Bruh.